All right. Hi, everybody. Well, welcome to the Global Wealth Club webinar, the crypto series. And today, myself, my name is Jasmine, and we have on the webinar with us tonight to present and ask lots of questions all around tax structures to do, especially with crypto and the crypto world, since we've got an up and coming event on the 26th of February, which is completely free. And we're going to talk a lot about that soon. But we have our lovely Warren Black, so in the red tonight, I could say in the red corner. And then we've got our lovely
Orange.
Oh my gosh, so I'm colorblind as well. And then we've got our lovely Connor Marshall over there, our crypto expert as well, in the lovely white. He looks like so angelic tonight.
Why, thank you, Jasmine.
I can't say that you are angelic, but that's okay.
I'll take it. Being like angelic is just as good.
I know. We've got two of the best teachers and experts in this crypto area tonight. So thank you for being here, and welcome to everybody on the webinar and those who watch the replay. So our great topic tonight is all around tax structures. It's a very exciting topic for many. Many don't like to talk about tax or structures because it can be overwhelming. But I guess tonight it's a really important time to have a discussion around this topic. Also, how important it is that we're going to be covering this more in depth on the actual event on the 26th. So, guys, I'm going to ask a few questions tonight. And Warren, since you've been the tax king, tax minimization king for many, many years, legally and lawfully, I would love for you to be able to lead this, and for Connor to also just be able to add in, as he's a newer generation to this topic. Is that all right?
No. Yeah, that's fine.
Well, we're going with it anyway. All right. So let's just start with the simple question. Like, what are tax structures? And especially when you're looking at crypto, what does it look like? Especially, so many people have got their tax coming up this year and are giving us a call wanting help. What are tax structures? Why are they so important? And when we're looking at crypto, what does it look like?
Tax structures really just mean setting up a separate entity from yourself that can hold assets. And the reason why is that ideally you don't want to own assets in your own name as much as possible. That's one of the most basic principles of asset protection. And it totally blows my mind about how many accountants don't actually get that or understand it. And even just on our Telegram group before, I just noticed a comment that was made by someone's accountant. And I was just like, wow, saying, oh, you don't need a structure because, it's not going to save any tax. Now, anyone who's got any background who used to be a lawyer or is a lawyer just knows about asset protection, because there's so many reasons that your wealth is at risk, apart from the fact that the government shut the world down from the flu and experimenting on their population, which is one minor issue going on, there's also the fact that governments have got every plan to take everyone's money in a great reset. Now, that's one thing. On top of that, you've got people who get great joy out of suing people, governments who actually have mandates to collect their taxes because the tax office want to keep their debts coming in. You've got all kinds of things. Whereas if you're in a structure, a lot of debts and problems that you can face can be knocked out straight away and government fines. And so, whereas if you get debts in your own name, for example, tax debts, other debts. So asset protection is not about trying to get out of legitimate moral obligations, because if I give you my word, Jasmine and Connor, maybe not Connor, but if I give you my word, I'll keep my word to you. It's just the right thing to do. And so if I've got money which I owe someone, I'm going to be, if I believe it's legitimate, I'll be paying it. I'll be out there to actually do it. But let's say that someone turns up and says, you owe me this money. And you go, no, I don't. Tax office says, you owe us $300,000. You're like, no, I don't. I owe like $30,000. I said, well, Stiff Vickies, the law says that the burden of proof is on you, and that's the truth. Well, if you're in your own name, you're pretty much screwed. If you're in a structure, you're protected. On top of that, there's a very good reason why the elite don't pay an awful lot of tax, because they use structures. They use trusts to protect their wealth. They use trusts and foundations to minimize their taxes. In fact, having, say, $500,000 in a business all in your own name compared to in a structure, you can save pretty much, 80 to 100 grand straight away just by putting it in a structure, being able to distribute income and use various things like bucket company and all that. So I mean, why would you own your cryptos in your own name? Either you don't believe you're going to make any money, or you plan to minimize tax illegally when you do, which is what, or you just haven't given it any thought. And I think most people just don't give it any thought. And then you go, oh, yikes, I owe all this money. So the choice is, do I pay a disastrous amount in tax, or do I just do something illegally and, hope I don't get caught? And that's the dilemma many people face. So, I mean, setting up structures is a must, absolute must. And I find that's why I enjoy working with people who've got a fair bit of money. I used to spend a lot of time helping people without much. And although I still do, if I think their brain's switched on, the vast majority of people who've got a lot of money tend to be very, very committed to getting their structures right because they know how important it is. Like, I sit down with someone with a high income or net profit, they'll be going straight away, yeah, I know I've got to get my structures. I don't want anything in my own name. I talk to someone, say on about 80 to 100K, a normal job, why is it an issue for me? I mean, basically what they're really saying is I'm never going to make any money anyway. And if that's the truth, then by all means don't structure it. Just accept the fact that you're destined to not make a lot of money. But structures are critical, absolutely critical.
I think you raised some good points there, Warren. And one thing that I find that I constantly run into just with some of the clients we've worked with and their accountants is one thing accountants say is, well, what are the chances of you being sued? That's something I hear quite common, especially with a corporate trustee. So what would you say to someone in response to that, where they are questioning, well, why do I need to take that level of protection? Because, I'm just an employee for someone, or maybe a low risk business.
So what's the odds of you having a car crash this week?
Well, hopefully very minimal.
Very minimal. Well, I would agree. What's the odds of you having one next year?
Hopefully very minimal.
Yeah, still not very high, slightly higher. Okay. So why did you get car insurance?
Well, just in case, worst case scenario, right?
Yeah, you'd rather not fund it. Okay, so if you got 300 grand in cryptos, you want to take the risk of losing the whole amount?
Absolutely not.
Or would you rather set up a simple structure that keeps you safe? That's my accountant. If an accountant can't get that, they're an idiot. That's my only response to that. They're literally a moron. I mean, they're professional. They should know better.
So maybe everyone, if you do have an accountant, ask your accountant that question. And if they respond like that, they're an idiot and you need to find a new one.
Yeah, they're a moron. I can't say I have clients who write to me, my accountant saying I don't need it. I don't have much else to say when your accountant's a moron. They just are. I mean, at the very least, they should say, okay. I mean, I have accountants say, look, can you explain why? I want to hear. And then I go, oh, shit. When I tell them, they go, thanks for letting me know that. So I've actually managed to educate many accountants, but many accountants kind of see it as a threat to their territory. And at least with doctors, they happily accept specialists involved in their process. Accountants are very territorial, and I have no interest in taking their clients from them. I don't want to do tax returns and do day-to-day planning. I literally would rather, go take 5 COVID vaccines as an experiment, But basically I mean, I don't really have much else to say. It's so important to be structured correctly.
Yeah, no, you answered that perfectly. And I think it's good you've given that simple analogy to look at it, because I think that helps to empower people that probably have been challenged by accountants and then probably backtrack quickly because they don't have the understanding themselves. So
when I really say this to accountants, I had one accountant who's really hammering me, and I just said to him, look, I said, okay, so if your client gets sued and they lose all their money, I assume you're fine with that. Well, no, not well, but I'm saying, what's the chances? Yeah, great. So just as long as the client knows, but you advise them to take the risk, and if they lose all their money, you should be fine. Then they kind of think about it and said, so that's really a risk. I'm like, have a look at a lawyer. And the other thing I say to them is, do you expect to get cancer? No. Do you still get some health insurance? And most of them saying, yeah. Do you it's simple, I have health insurance. I don't have any desire or intention of getting sick. I don't wake up every day thinking, oh shit, I hope I get sick next week. And I have my health insurance, but I've got it. And likewise, I've got no desire to get sued. I'd rather not spend money on a trust. And hopefully all the money I spend on my structures is a big waste of money. But in my case, it hasn't been a waste of money. It's saved my ass probably 2 times in my life. It's literally saved my ass. So.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, last week you both mentioned, I think that the general population tend to act reactively to what's going on instead of proactively. And that analogy you just used was even about your health. Like those people that go to the chiro, every couple of weeks, keep on top of their health. I mean, you're going to really minimize.
I do.
Yeah.
I'm in great health physically, mentally. I have mental health. I see a hypnotherapist, counsellor every 2 to 4 weeks without fail. I have been for years. What else do I do? see a chiropractor on average weekly. I've got about 3 different ones I float between. I have a physiotherapist who I see every month, and people say, why do you do that? I said, LeBron James is an elite athlete. He spends a fortune. And I said, my body and my mind is my asset. It helps me to keep doing webinars and live life. I said, why would I, be reactive? So I'm very proactive of my health and everything. And I have no desire to get sick. Those who know me know I'm the worst whinger. The world should give thanks to God I'm not a woman, because I could not handle childbirth at all. I just have the lowest pain tolerance just about anyone I know. So
excellent. So bringing it back to cryptos and structures, I mean, why is now the time to actually get structured instead of later? I mean, do we foresee it getting harder? Are we at the stage right now where we need to act immediately? Do we have a little bit of time? Where are we at right now? Because you've just highlighted how important it is to be proactive around structures and cryptos. So,
okay. I am going to relate it back to health, because it's the exact identical analogy. Like, I have so many people now saying to me, how do I get a mask exemption? I'm like, you should have asked this question 9 months ago. Like, doctors were giving them out like confetti. Now they won't give them if their life depends on them. And as the Art of War says by Sun Tzu, when things are easy is the time to take difficult steps. So the best time to structure is right now, where there is no great reset, or where the economy hasn't yet crashed, or where the government isn't coming up your ass trying to take your money off you. You're never going to get a better time than today. I had a client say to me last week, they said, I heard you in 2015 on your webinar talking about sovereignty, the government coming after money. I said to my husband, yeah, that could happen one day, and did nothing about it. She goes, I wish I'd acted 7 years ago, but I'm here now. Can I still do something? I said, yeah, but your time's much shorter, but you still can. So she's moving fast for me now. So my point is that, you don't know. The market could crash in 2 months' time. The election could be over. They could announce they're going to do a reset. I don't think it's likely it'll happen this year, but it could happen. You don't know. No one woke up in 2020 and go, I think they might shut the world down for the flu this year. If you'd said that in January, you'd have been like, huh? It just happened. The only thing that I knew was that something bad was going to happen. It was obvious that was all building up to that. There's no question that the economy is going to melt down. The system's not sustainable. Every single political and economic commentator of note knows that. Everyone knows that governments are being pressured to get more money, and with socialism, they're going to collect their debts and collect their money. So there's no question they're going to crack down and come after people's money more and more. The sovereign individual said it would happen. It's been right on almost everything it said. So the question is, why would you not do it immediately? Like, why would you not get straight onto it? If you're not, you don't really want to deal with it. You just want to take the gamble and hope that I'm wrong. And, maybe 5% possibility I'm wrong, 95% possibility that I'm right. That's how I see it. The timing's the only thing I don't know. It could take a month, a year, 3 years, 5 years, but it's going to happen.
And weirdly enough, Warren, I do hope you're wrong, because I think a lot of people are probably going to come unstuck when that time does come. But I do have to agree with you. I think we're slowly slipping down a bit of a rabbit hole where, asset protection is a priority for a lot of people.
I would be so happy if the government got up tomorrow and said, hi, everyone, we want to apologise profusely from the bottom of our heart for scamming you with this whole thing. We realise that we should never have taken your rights away. Everyone right now should forgive us, and we rest assured we're going to look after you economically. We're going to get rid of income taxes. We're going to have GST. We're going to cut down public servants tomorrow, and rest assured there's not going to be an economic crash and reset. We'll do whatever it takes. If that happened, I'd be, oh my God, this is like amazing. I don't know. I don't think it's going to happen, but maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, excellent. Thanks, guys. So let's be realistic here. Everyone who's going to be attending the 26 around cryptos, clearly want to know more in this space. But are there actual structures that we can use to protect and minimize taxes when it comes to cryptos? Because we are talking about, people who will have cryptos already and possibly set up in the wrong structures. And then we're going to have people who are looking, to begin this journey. So is it realistic to actually protect your cryptos and have structures that are set up that will actually do the job?
Okay, so there's 2 aspects to what you just asked. Number 1 is your past sins. And being Jesus, not being Jesus necessarily, I can't necessarily wash your sins away, which means if you've got past crypto issues, we can minimize it to a degree, but by and large, you may have to pay some what I call ignorance tax. In other words, by not actually dealing with the matter, But moving forward, there's a lot you can do. I mean, the more money you make, the less tax you'll pay if you structure correctly, because you can use trusts, foundations. There's a good reason why politicians and farmers have family trust on Drove, why Malcolm Turnbull, Mitt Romney, Bill Shorten use offshore companies, Matt Turnbull and the Caymans with investment funds. They do this deliberately because they know this stuff works. So there's lots you can do offshore. There's stuff you can do with foundations, and you can do it all legally. You know, there's legal ways you can do it. And the more money you make, the more you can do. If you don't have large amounts of money to go and set up genuinely compliant of overseas structures or, you know, foundations, then there's still a lot you can do with family trust to at least soften the blow, so you don't pay as much. We're not paying like 40% or 30% or 25%, and you can get it down even further. So yeah, look, we've seen some extraordinary tax savings just by changing structures. And even if you get it right for moving forward in future, there's a lot you can do. And there really is. I mean, people are often shocked what they can do. I can't make any guarantees like everyone who walks in is going to save a crap load of tax, but our experience is a lot of people do when they do it properly.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you have anything to add there, Connor?
No, probably just highlighting there's obviously the tax side of that as well, but also the asset protection side. So for some people that might not be in a position where they might benefit from a tax minimization perspective, you're still going to benefit massively from an asset protection perspective, which should be equally as important for people.
Yeah, I love that point. Very good point.
You see, when I used to be a lawyer, I remember the first thing we would look at if we were going to sue someone was, do they have any assets? The moment we'd see it's in a structure, we'd be like, okay, you realise, we say to the client, we've got to try, number one, argue the structure is not valid. Number two, we've got to undo it. We may be able to succeed, we may not. Rather than costing 20 grand or 10 grand legal fees, it's going to be 50 to 100 grand. Are you fine with that? You know, literally that's what happens. In fact, the tax office with liquidations of companies, if you've got a proper company structure set up, 95% plus of the time, they write off the debt and don't pursue it further. Whereas if it's individual name, they rarely write off the debt. Just to give you one example.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so let's get to the next point here. So the elite tend to follow this rule. I know you mentioned it prior, Warren, as well. But what does it actually really mean for everyday people? So you own nothing but control everything.
It just simply means that you have structures set up, but ultimately you control it. I mean, the Clinton Foundation's a classic example. You know, Bill and Hillary Clinton have this foundation that they do all kinds of shenanigans in, which you've seen in WikiLeaks, some of you and others. And I mean, Chelsea Clinton got a really great watch, and there's various stuff like that. But if you look at who controls it, no one actually ultimately owns a foundation. It's owned by the foundation for legacy and not for profit, but the Clintons can control the wealth and enjoy it and use it in their lifetime. And most high-level elite that I know use foundations. It's very popular. It's also a great way to give back to the world. Like, I like foundations because it means I can genuinely give back to the world, and it means, and I don't pay much tax when I do that. So I can give a lot to the world and be rewarded for it. Like, I have a client I saw today who I've said they're so happy because they were doing a lot of foundation kind of work and didn't realize that they were eligible for one. So they were like really worked up. They're going to pay a lot of taxes. And I said, well, you're going to have to pay tax on what you've earned to date, but you actually moving forward, you are a cut and dried case for a foundation with the amount of charitable work that you're actually doing. And we're setting them up one right now. It's going to save them a lot of taxes, protect their wealth, and help them feel good about what they're doing even more.
Awesome. That's so good. Now, we are the Global Wealth Club. We will have people tuning in from other countries. So when it comes to structures and the general principles around cryptos and structures to protect them, our cryptos, do these principles apply globally, you know, in terms of obviously the way you want to structure and set up? Because we have many people who are going to be tuning in or sharing with their family members. So what would you say to that? If you're in another country and you're going to be tuning in?
Overall, yes, about 95% will be relevant because the principles and structures will apply. The way we talk about the paperwork will apply. The way we talk about nearly everything. The only thing that will be slightly different is obviously we are going to talk about some Australian tax law sections or whatever else. So that will obviously be relevant to Australia, but 90 to 95% will be literally you can use the same principles in US, you can use the same principles in Europe, because it's all about separate structures, how you do it, how you link your cryptos to it, all that kind of stuff. And then the only question will be some of the mechanics about how you can minimize your taxes with trust. I mean, some of that will be slightly different for New Zealand, US, but by and large, 90-95% will be very relevant. You'll just have to go and see your own advisor, to get some guidance.
Yeah, awesome. Sorry, Connor, was I about to cut you off or?
No, that's good. I think Warren answered that perfectly.
Awesome. Okay, so I first of all just want to address, if you see a few questions coming through, so we will absolutely get to them if they're questions that we can answer. Just be mindful of the comments that you're putting in, because it does distract speakers as well. If you could put a legitimate question in the Q&A box, that would be really helpful. And moving forward, the February 26th, the crypto event that we're actually going to be holding, we really want it to be of great value. We are holding it for everyone globally, and it is free. It's the 26th of February. It's all around crypto structures, and we're going to have some really special guests. And I just wanted to reiterate that Mr. Connor Marshall, who is on with us tonight and who gives us such great value every week, is actually going to be speaking. And we're really excited to have you, Connor, and we're just thankful for, all of the work that you do and all the hours you put in. So did you just want to share in a really quick paragraph or two what you're actually going to be discussing in the event?
Absolutely. I have the pleasure of starting off speaking for the event with such a good lineup. It's definitely something to be excited for. Pretty much I'm going to be touching on the basics of cryptocurrencies and some clear definitions for those people that are a little bit newer to crypto, just because certain assets can be viewed in certain ways. We're also going to have a look at legislation up until this point and some things that have developed in the space over the last few years, just to kind of give everyone that introduction before we get into the other speakers, which will be going more into the specifics of structures and tax minimization and actually handling your cryptos from a tax perspective.
Awesome. Connor, we can't wait to have you. And Connor is really good in the morning because he normally has about 3 black coffees. So he's going to be a fireball, ready to go. So everyone make sure to have your coffee before, because Connor's going to come in with the goods. And as we said, we've got other speakers. So thank you, Connor. We're looking forward to having you there. So let's get to the next speaker that we're going to have. It's a pretty big announcement, but let's just talk back on what you were discussing before, Warren and Connor, around accountants not really knowing this space too well. And also you're getting a lot of information from accountants that's just not applicable and really kind of dismissive of this space, I would probably say. So I would love for you to do the actual honours here, Warren, and introduce who our special guest is going to be on the 26th of February, the third one.
You're talking about Michaela?
I sure am.
Okay, good.
Put him right on the spot there.
That shows how much I know about our own event, everyone. I'm kind of just this guy they just roped in. But yeah, so Michaela's a very switched on, out there kind of accountant, pretty cool. And we just asked her if she'd be willing to come along and speak, and she said absolutely. And it was really good to meet a crypto accountant who invests in crypto, does all that kind of stuff themselves. And yeah, so she's really good. So I'm more speaking on the general structuring, all that kind of stuff, and teaching that, but she's going to go into some more specifics around the tax, the actual accounting side of cryptos, and dealing with that and the record keeping and all the kind of annoying stuff, which I don't really want to talk about, but she will. So yeah, that's but stuff that is really important. So I'm very pleased that she's agreed to speak. So finding a crypto friendly accountant, is a little bit like finding water in the desert. It's not easy.
Yeah, it's super exciting. I mean, the fact that we've been able to get Michaela Rankin on is going to be, this kind of information that we want to provide to everyone, people pay thousands of dollars for just to have an initial consultation. So please do register. If you haven't registered, do so today. Share the link out with as many people, because we really want people to be educated in this space. And Connor, Warren, Michaela are going to all be giving of their time. We're not charging. So please do share this link out. It's really, really exciting time, especially because she's an expert in crypto. She deals with it. So she's going to be able to answer a lot of the questions in that space that Warren probably doesn't really want to go into, as you just mentioned. So Michaela Rankin, she'll be there. Connor's going to be speaking, and Warren. And also...
There's someone at the door. Just hang on, I get one of my kids to answer it.
Is it Michaela?
Right on cue. I think it's also good to add that we do refer people out to Michaela because we really trust the work she does with our clients. And the crypto space, especially in regards to tax, is very difficult to navigate. So I love having Michaela in our back pocket because I'll have consults when we're setting up trusts for clients or foundations or whatever that client's looking, and they ask a whole bunch of very detailed and specific questions where they'll go see Michaela for an hour and they come back and it's like they've been enlightened to a degree and they can manage it all themselves. So I'm super excited myself to hear the information she's going to be presenting because it is world class. She's without a doubt probably the best accountant that I've worked with, purely because Warren's no longer an accountant, obviously. But I am very, very excited for her to be presenting.
Yeah, me too. Who's excited to hear from the speakers on the 26th? You're more than welcome to put into the chat there. That's just fabulous. And then also we have Nadine saying absolutely. And then we were also talking about the fourth speaker for the day, just announced Vina White. And Vina is basically a business partner and owner of WellSafe. So she's going to be
a great crypto investor and a bugger because she's better at it than me, which is annoying.
Yeah, she's brilliant and she's a powerhouse and she's really hard to get a hold of as well. So the fact that we've got her, locked into a time, we can ask her lots of questions around, and she's a crypto expert. So we've got a fabulous lineup. So there was a question in regards to the actual sign up there. Yes, Andrew, there will be a recording. We are highly encouraging people to watch live because, as you can imagine, when you are presenting or talking to a camera, you really feed off people being there with you, asking questions.
There's another thing too on that one, Jasmine, I've just got to bring up. We'll be going, there's a little bit, 90 to 95% will be recorded. There's a little bit of sensitive material that will be getting shared that I'm not going to be recording just because I'd rather just not. So yeah, it will be recorded. All the, by and large, important foundation is just a couple of sensitive parts I'm going to share, which I'd rather not be recorded. And that's about it, really.
Yeah, and I think that's absolutely fair. So highly encourage you to attend live, but as Warren has just said, still register. And if there are certain things missing, unfortunately, it's just due to the sensitive subject, and we need to be mindful of that. Okay, now we're going to go a little bit left wing, right wing, whatever wing you want to call it, chicken wing. I knew Connor would like that one. Warren's just gone with the fairy set. Let's talk about a few theories or conspiracy theories around, well, not necessarily conspiracy, but around governments actually creating cryptos. What are our thoughts on this? Because there are a few people saying, it's there to enslave us more, to go to the Great Reset. Or no, it's really there because of the blockchain. We're going to be able to actually be protected from the Federal Reserve and the banks. Can we just get initial thoughts on this? A few people have actually asked me this personally this week as well.
I'll say it first. And kind of, yeah, I haven't. Look, I've looked into both very thoroughly, and this is my conclusion. I think, to my surprise, and I wish I was wrong, there's some truth in that. From what I've looked into it, I think that cryptos have been created by and large and encouraged to flush out the black economy. I do actually, the more I've looked into this, think that is the case. In saying that, that doesn't stop there being some great opportunities. This is what I've told people all along. That's why don't see that as a way to hide your money from the government. Just see it as a really good way, if you know what you're doing, to make some good money and make sure you structure yourself. How long this will last, I don't know. But yes, I do actually think that it's been allowed, whoever created it or not, the very least, they've allowed this to go to flush out the black economy. That's my observation. I've talked to some high-level people in the area, and that's my conclusion. I'm pretty certain that's correct. I think, though, in saying that, cryptos is not just about like digital currencies and money. It's also about some platforms, some decentralized blockchain, which people are using online. So there are some positives of crypto that will last long into a great reset and still be relevant. But yes, I do think there's some truth in that.
Yeah.
What do you think, Connor?
Yeah, go
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think for sure, we're already seeing it now with digital currencies, governments utilizing in that aspect. Yeah. How far governments decide to take that is a whole nother rabbit hole of discussion. And you would think they probably wouldn't utilize it in that way, but I think the last few years has probably made people realize governments can really do whatever the hell they want, and there's nothing we can really do about it. I think there's obviously an element to cryptocurrency and the technology of blockchain, which does have a lot of real world uses, which, undeniably we are going to be using that later down the track. So I think it's really just down to regulation and how the government kind of adopts it over time. But I definitely would not be surprised to try and see governments jumping on in any way, shape or form to take control of that system, because ultimately I think they know it's going to be a big money maker in the next decade or so.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I guess that's why we always teach about diversifying your portfolio. And, you know, it's really important with the
weirdly enough, I think the thing that stopped the crypto boom really taking off is the illegitimizing of it, where governments are still kind of playing this game where they're kind of not endorsing it, not. I think if the government regulated it tighter and got more involved, that would send the market up a lot more, because many big players would get more confident. So many are terrified of regulation, whereas weirdly enough, regulation would be the best thing for the crypto investor. I think that would send it through the roof. That's my feeling. And
I think you see governments right now are just all over the shop when it comes to cryptocurrencies. We had India in November saying they were planning to ban it. And 2 weeks ago, they come out and they say, oh, we didn't actually mean we were going to ban it. We just wanted to regulate it, which regulation for them was just flat taxing everything at 30%. So, I mean, that's half the problem. There's not a lot of clarity around it, which, you know, that I can understand what Warren's saying, because I feel like, you know, especially bigger institutional investors are probably going to look a lot more favorably upon some of these cryptos if the right regulation is brought in for them.
Yeah. It's so important as well, just in this space, to be well educated and to date. There's so many changes just in this half an hour. Look at all the different, you know, avenues that we've gone in, and the different discussions that we've had to have. Because realistically, you know, it is a forever moving space, right, Connor and Lauren? And it's going to change.
One thing I'll mention with cryptos, where the lack of regulation is really holding up the growth of the market, is because setting up a managed fund for cryptos is almost impossible. Like, you know, Connor and I looked into it along with some others, and spoken to lawyers, and really only now is starting to look possible. And the reason is because of the nature of the wallets and all that. It's very hard to set up with a custodian security for investors where it can't just be removed. So that's stopped the ability to do that. Now, once they regulate it more and bring in a system that permits managed funds, it'll just go bang, because hedge funds will just go into that big time. People will start offering to manage Bitcoin, managing others. I reckon you'll see like some ridiculous gains. It'll be like when the internet became mainstream. It'll just go nuts. So when they solve that problem, I'm actually waiting for regulation. You know, if regulation happens, there's a lot of money to be made.
So if this is the case, and, you know, you've both had your thoughts in regards to the government, you know, possibly creating cryptos, and this space is forever changing. What we're going to be teaching on the 26th is going to give us a good start of basically what steps to take, even if we've already done cryptos, if we're just at the start of what to do, what steps to take to prepare for this, and to prepare for the fact that, you know, it is a forever changing space and it is going to change.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would go as far to say that I think anyone from your brand new beginner that doesn't own cryptos through to your seasoned crypto investor is going to gain some valuable information from this, either from the structure side of things or the tax side of things. That there's bound to be something that people are definitely going to be learning from this.
Yeah, I mean, look, it depends. Obviously, if you're a very sophisticated crypto investor and you got all your structuring perfect, then no, you probably would waste your time. But, you know, I don't think there'll be many people in that boat. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, everyone, there's a couple of questions. I'm going to go to those, if that's okay.
Yes, please.
And then we're going to tie this up because we like to keep it short and sharp. So I know this question is early. How can I on and offboard fiat into an offshore exchange without using an Aussie bank? Is it possible? This is John, I'm guessing, from Ireland.
Yeah, that's a tough one. So yeah, it's not easy. I mean, I don't really look. I don't do things, John, where I try and avoid things and do all that kind of stuff, because especially in this current new world, you're virtually bordering on money laundering. That's how I see it. So I just don't look into that. You know, we do our cryptos kind of within the law, especially as we see regulation increasing. So my guess is that there probably are people who can do it. But yeah, you've got to really, you have to find someone who really understands and specializes in banking. I mean, I do know, you know, there's some jurisdictions, but yeah, getting the money out of Australia, you're virtually going to have to start getting into, you know, you transfer this crypto here and do that. It's very difficult. I mean, I don't, I mean, I could have answered that question a few years ago. In this current world, I definitely don't know the answer to that, and I don't personally care to know the answer. I don't want to go that path. That's my answer on that one.
John, that's it. Thank you. No problems. Did you want to mention anything before I go to the next one, or no?
Yeah, I'm sure it's probably possible, John, but whether it's legal is a whole nother, a whole nother can of worms to open. So no matter how much money you might save in the short term, I don't think it's worth prison time in the end.
Yeah,
I mean, if you enjoy prison, that's up to you.
If you want some free bread and water, head that way.
I'm pretty sure you get a TV these days and stuff. It's actually not that bad.
No, at the Global Wealth Club, we do everything above board, legally, and the right way. So learn from the best. Okay, so from an anonymous, so if the government changes all the rules, will they care about any structures?
Oh, who knows? I mean, God, anything could happen. I mean, I do think by and large they will, within degrees, but in saying that, I mean, yeah, I mean, anything could happen. They could just get up and announce it, but the day they do that, they've declared war on their whole economy. So I don't know if they'll do that. What I more see as likely is that if you're not doing all the right things and don't meet the social credit from the digital IDs that'll come in whatever form, and whether it means you're being experimented on, or you've got some kind of other stuff in place, but you can't participate. I think that's a real risk. I think that you might suddenly go and your property's been caveated by the government and you can't sell it because you don't meet your social credit. Oh yeah, I think unless Australians wake up and push back pretty hard, I think that's on the table. I think with US and anywhere, I think that's where it's heading. Unless people really push back, I think that having a social credit system, that if you're not a good citizen, I got banned on Facebook the other day for 30 days, and I mean the reason was just this is what actually happened. I mean, we laugh about it, but this is actually what happened, and shows you potentially how bad this can get. Someone wrote a post about, how Jesus basically, torched the bankers. And I wrote up there and goes, yeah, didn't he use whips? And I said, maybe we should whip some bankers, smiley face. And I got instantly banned for promoting hate speech and violence. Now, it said, do you agree or disagree with this decision? I pushed disagree. And it said, sorry, because we have no spare staff because of coronavirus, you cannot appeal this decision. And that was it. So just like that. So imagine if it had been my bank account that was blocked, or I can't get my property. I mean, that's where things could potentially head, So I thought, okay. So there's no doubt that alternate social media platforms I heard are coming up, like Truthball. Trump's doing one up as well. Yeah, so that definitely could happen. I think that's what could happen. Or your structure doesn't count if you're not, haven't got your social credits up to date, or you paid extra tax. I mean, all that's on the horizon, but I don't think they'll get rid of it completely, but I do think that's a risk.
What I love most about that story, Warren, is the fact they gave you the option to appeal it. You appeal it, and then they're like, no, you can't actually appeal it anymore.
And that's exactly like my mum, when I was a kid, would walk in and say, do you want some lettuce? I said, no, thanks. She goes, we're having some anyway, because it's good for you. And I said, but why did you ask me if I wanted some? You should have just forced it on my plate. Oh, well, no, obviously I wanted to ask. He said, well, but you didn't listen to my opinion. And she goes, oh, stop whinging and then just eat it. And that's kind of what's happening there. So I'm like, yeah, you can see why Facebook have plummeted. Their prices are plummeting. Their profits are plummeting. I mean, I think Facebook's on the massive decline. I really do. I think that in a year or two from now, they realize that by listening to the woke left and all that other stuff, they're just going to ruin their business. I mean, the whole beauty of Facebook was it was an inclusive, worldwide platform that gave a kind of space for anyone in any way, shape and form to express, and connect across the world. I mean, Facebook provided a great service to the world, and now it's just turned into a bunch of morons. So I think it'll just, other things will come up out of this, all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And Heather, I saw your comment in regards to your nephew losing $800,000 in crypto. That's crazy. That's why it's so important to have some sort of structures in place and get some really good consultation. So maybe get your nephew to join on the 26th. That might help. All right, we're going to go for the last question tonight, and then I'm just going to reiterate a little summary on what's up and coming. We've got next week will be our last one on the same time next Tuesday before our actual event. So Connor and Warren will be there. But Erwin has asked, is there an investment amount or threshold where you should set up a structure? So e.g. investment if it's greater than 1,000 or 10,000? That's a really good question.
Yeah, it's a good look. Yeah, I mean, it's like anything. I mean, if you've only got a couple of grand and doing nothing, then you might decide to wait. But let's say you're $2,000, you set it up, you forget about it, and then you find out it's got up 50 times. That happens in crypto as well. You're going to have a nice tax bill waiting for you, so you're going to have to go ahead, pay your taxes. So that's more risk analysis. So, I mean, yeah, obviously, if you only got a couple of grand, you might hold off the structure while you get started, but just keeping in mind that the sooner you can get into a structure, the better.
No, I like what you said at the start of the day, Warren. I think you said, do you have confidence that you're going to be making some profits? I think that's all well and good, unless you make some money, because then you have the issues of trying to transfer into structures and things like that. So obviously there is always, cost benefit analysis at that point. But if you're anticipating to make some money, it's definitely a wise idea to at least look at setting that up initially if you can.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Great. Well, guys, we're going to wrap this up. This has been excellent today. I hope everyone's got some value out of it. As I said, next week we're engaging at the same time with Warren and Connor. And as I said, Connor will be speaking at the event. And then an amazing accountant who is just a legend and knows all of this crypto space, especially with tax minimization. And you can ask her questions. Michaela Rankin is our guest speaker for the day. The 26th of February, if the team could just put the registration link in again, that would be fabulous. Thank you so much, Belle. And we just thank you for coming today. And Warren, thank you for your time. Connor, thank you for your time. And everybody, we will see you again next week. Make sure you register for the event. If you're in some Telegram groups that are all about, self-help and wanting to, navigate through these times, I really encourage you to share the link there as well, as it is a free event and we really look forward to having you all there. All right. Wrap it up.
Awesome.
Excellent.
Everybody. Bye, Warren. Bye, Connor. Bye, everybody. Thanks for coming tonight. See you next week.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. See you, Ben.
To kick the habit that my mind is free.